Thanks for joining us. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. Today is Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. It's just 5:31 p.m. And we're going to start by saying the pledge, if you'll join us. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You want to take roll?
Okay, John? Roll call.
Here.
Andrew?
Here.
Lynn?
Here.
Linda?
Present.
Okay, and Carl and Randy and Dan are excused and absent. Do we have any public comment? Anybody wish to address the board before we get started? Okay, then I need approval of the consent agenda, which tonight consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of September 17th, 2025. We have bills payable in the amount of $193,507.97. No other committee or reports. I did include the senior center theater experience. I've been getting emails from them, so that's nice to have in the packet and online for everybody. And the University of Michigan close-up report from September. So,
Motion to approve. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Do we have anybody here from Storybook? Do we know? We don't. Okay. So I need a motion to approve the agenda without 6A, proposed Storybook Trail from Sherwood Park.
So move.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Okay, then we can start out with Bob Andrickson from the Iron Ore Heritage Recreation Authority.
All right, good evening. Thank you for inviting me to present to you on the Iron Ore Heritage Trail. I'm Bob Hendrickson, the Trail Administrator for the Iron Ore Heritage Recreation Authority. Overall, we had a kind of a mixed bag of season this year. Not as successful with our projects as we had been in the past. One of the delays had been the Lankin Land extension that was going to the east and Chocolate from Caboggin Road to Lankin Land Sculpture Park. I'll go more into that when we get to that a little bit more. But overall, we had a lot of improvements done on the trail. Specifically, we had extra ORV trail funding, which was implemented into Ely, Humboldt, and Republic townships. Part of that was just happened to have that, but then also that was a good extension for us to kind of get some good faith built up out there with the millage being passed last year. Even though their money is not coming into the coffers for the Heritage Trail yet, that will happen next year on the next payroll or the next tax roll. It was good to have some extra ORV monies to be able to implement that and improve that trail surface. Right now, we're working on trying to replace a couple of the culverts out there that will need to be removed and reinstalled, and then we can start working more on surface improvements. Eventually, I mean, what we'd really like to see is get it to the point where it's fine aggregate all the way out to Republic. Where it ends right now, Ely and Humboldt are the unimproved areas. We put probably 150 yards of gravel total in one spot, 1.3 miles west of Wawanawan, east of Wawanawan. And then we did improvements in the Wolf Lake Road area too. So we've been adding gravel to the sandier spots in that area. So we have been getting good improvements on it, and we'll continue to work with that next year too. The Lankin Land extension, to kind of give you up to date on that, we were not fully aware of a county road right-of-way that paralleled much more of the current state corridor that's through there. So that's County Road BAA, and we've been working with the Marquette County Road Commission to get that survey done and know exactly where that road will run. There's going to be some improvement made on that road this fall, so we're going to see what the county road commission does with that before we move forward. So right now, what we've done is filed an extension on our Michigan Trails, the Michigan Trust Fund grant, and then we're also having a grant from the Michigan Trails grant, and those will be put back into consideration through the winter, and hopefully we'll get things going again back in the spring with that. Overall, I think we've had successful events that were on the trail this year, from the Iron Range Roll to the Marquette Marathon, just recently the March Gesig. Seemed to have very good results. We had very clean trail afterwards. The only, I think, infrastructure issue that we had was the trailhead at Negaunee Township Trail. The capacity of that, the bathroom there is just not made for that size of event. So we're going to encourage the bigger events to include some more porta potties in that, just because it was overrun basically at that point. Kind of bringing it into the Marquette Charter Township, where in fact, your board, we are working with the NTN to develop a trail plan for the Koski Woods project. That was the tract of land that was purchased last year from Joyce Britton and Carol Schwemmen. Their father had owned it previously, used it primarily for hunting land. It's 176 acres. The Schwemmen family kept a 20-acre parcel on the far east end of that tract, so we got the majority of that. How it worked out to 176 acres, I'm not sure. Land works that way sometimes, but it is a 40 by 120 tract, roughly, with maybe some areas being pinched in a little bit more. So we were able to get a Michigan a catalyst fund from the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance, and that was for $5,000 to be used to go into the property, walk it, see what there is available, work on some entry points for it. At this point, we're looking at creating an entry point just before if you're going to the east or to the west, just before the railroad viaduct. So there's a trust fund placard on the trail right there. That would be basically the trail entrance. It would be a parallel trail up to the ridge line. In the track itself, we have a design right now, or preliminary talks of a stacked loop system. So the first loop would be a beginner's loop or an easier moderate loop, then going out to an intermediate loop, and then the furthest loop would be an advanced loop. There may be some spurs off from that. We do have a public input that we've had going. The NTN put together a short public survey that is available online. It's on our Facebook at this point. It'll be open until Friday, so if you'd want to go to there, or I could send you the link to send out to the rest of the council at that point too. Cool. Yeah, otherwise, we've done pretty much, we're kind of in our last of our maintenance mode right now, fixing benches. John's just let me know about a ORV issue that may be at the Pete's Pass intersection junction. We have been having other issues in Chocolate with ORVs. The bypass that we made in Negaunee seems to be really alleviating the problems of ORVs and non-motorized kind of mixing as much. So then that was actually, as officially opened this year, the extended C route, ORV C route to Moss Street, County Road 492. Right now, there's still decisions on how to loop that over to Sands Township, down to Gwynn, and making a loop up to Republic again. So that's the DNR project. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Cliffs land sale that's going on right now. Ishpeming is in the process of purchasing a large chunk of that. The DNR is in work with the Marquette County to secure the easements. Marquette County right now is the main holder, or the preliminary holder for all the easements. That would include NTN, Ramba, primarily Ramba trails, and then the DNR trails. And the work right now is really between the DNR and Marquette County, working out the fine tuning on that, how that'll work out. But yeah, I don't know, I'd like to hear from the board too of what you guys have seen or would like to see on the trail.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I know some people come to the board meetings asking about policies with class 2 and 3 e-bikes.
Mhm.
I don't know if the Heritage Trail has anything, or...
Yeah, that's a good segue to where we're at with that. No, currently at this point, we follow the Michigan DNR guidelines on portions of the trail that are used as a linear trail. So that would be from Marquette Township all the way to Marquette. At this point, type 1s can be used. Type 2s can be used if you file an application with the DNR on that. The other side of that would be from basically the kiln in Marquette out to Cabogam Road and Chocolate is also a linear path recognized by the DNR as a non-motorized use path too. So at this point, again, class 1s can be used, class 2 with a permit. It's a big hot subject this year. Definitely in the city of Marquette, who's formed a task force on that. We'll be presenting with them on Thursday, tomorrow night, with the NTN on our observations of that. The position of the best I can explain is like everybody's kind of at a wait and see of what comes out of the Marquette task force, and then kind of taking that on. The Recreation Authority ourselves do not have enforcement abilities, so we're very lenient on trying to regulate use of the trail, other than explaining proper etiquette. So the enforcement of any of the policies that would be put in place would need to be done by either municipality law enforcement. If the municipality doesn't have law enforcement, then it would go to the county sheriff or the Michigan DNR conservation officers, law enforcement, or in the worst case scenario would be state police. So that would be kind of the hierarchy of how we were recommending municipalities handle enforcement of any policies that are implemented on the trail. Going back to what we're trying to work on is with etiquette. That's probably the biggest thing, and that's not only to the influx of electric devices being used on the trail, but also bicycles or people that are coming in from out of town, not really understanding the etiquettes if they haven't been on a trail system before. So, keep it on the right-hand side of the trail. That's been talked about maybe in high-density areas where you have a lot of traffic and where the trail can be done. You could put a center line on. Speed limits have been discussed, but again, there's really no enforcement for that. So that would be one of those policies. Every policy person that we've talked to said you're just opening up a nightmare if you start implementing stuff that you can't enforce. So I think there'll be changes in the DNR's policies next year, but a lot of people are kind of seeing what comes out of the Marquette Task Force and then bringing that out to maybe the fuller trail system.
Is the DNR putting any signage up for e-bikes, or are you?
We do have an etiquette sign. I don't have an example with us right now. A lot of it is, ride right or stay on the right-hand side of the trail. Warn the person that you're coming up on, slowing down, especially in high-density areas. Keep the speed, lower, or so you're not buzzing past people. Dogs on a leash are a big one that we've been trying to, keep going. And audible, not only just audible that way, but outwardly, but audibles that are, people walking with earbuds or being tuned in, riding and stuff, that they need to have that stuff, those devices, their music or sound devices turned down to the point where they can still be aware of their surroundings. So those are etiquette pieces that we put on. We do have e-bike usage, and we refer to as pedal-only devices, but then that opens up to, now we're into class 3s, or what is, the divisions between electric devices. So yeah, I guess the big thing would be like how, if there is an incident on the trail, and it involves a device that's not approved for that trail, the blame or the responsibility would then go on that person that's using that device on the trail, if that caused the accident or caused the issue with it.
So I have a question. You said that you can use type 2s on the trails with a permit? What does that mean?
Yeah, so the DNR has a use permit for type 2 bicycles for people that have a need for it. And it would be, typically it'd be I'm not sure if it'd be like a doctor's note, we have to look into that more, but it'd be filed with the state, or the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for that.
And you would have a sticker on your bike then? It's like,
I think it's a card, but I'm not. It hasn't been. So the last meeting that I attended last year was the first year they had a land use order that was put in place for use of electric bikes. We have 2 meetings coming up with the Michigan DNR, and this is kind of like turning my hat. As not the Iron Ore Heritage representative, but I also sit on the non-motorized work group for the Michigan DNR. We have a meeting coming up next week for that, which is a big topic of the policies, and then also the Trail Summit at the end of October, which is all the trail groups, the equestrians, the non-motorized, motorized, snowmobile and ORV that go into that.
so more to come.
More to come. It will continue to be evolving. If right now, I think etiquette is the biggest thing that we can use, and just kind of keeping that enforced. And then if there is serious problems, if that law enforcement be used at the county level or the local level if needed. Yeah.
So I pulled something off the state website today about the 3 classes. 1 is a pedal assist, 2 is a throttle and a pedal assist, and 3 is a pedal assist, but that's 28 miles per hour on a class 3. So they're allowed, all 3 of them are allowed on roads and bike lanes. And then you're talking linear trails would be like the gravel one, like the Heritage Trail?
Yeah, that's a state
semi-paved?
corridor. So the corridor from Eagle Mills down to Marquette behind the Holiday Inn is a state corridor, managed, owned, or the lease is held under the rail bank agreement that the state is the leaseholder for infinity until that, if the trail is reactivated as a railroad. We are the trail sponsors for that. So we were the caretakers for the summertime. Then in the wintertime, that flips over to the snowmobile clubs, which in this section is Moose Country Snowmobile and ORV Club that maintains that part of the trail.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then class 3s are not allowed on linear trails, which would be that section.
Right,
And then you said 2s are, but with an application.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
And then non-motorized trail services like mountain bike trails, they're not allowed on that at all, according to.
Depending on who has the property, so like the NTN can make their own policies because their trails are primarily on private lands
Right,
or
okay.
municipality lands that are not state affected or state owned.
Okay.
So there is a lot of confusion, mainly by the public, even where I can use my bike. One of the questions that will be discussed tomorrow is what our complaints have been for e-bike usage on the trail. I have not received any, direct, conflicts, although I've heard secondhand through that we've had, incidents of people going by too fast, but sometimes people don't know if it was an electric bike or if it was a regular bike, From my observations, it seems the greatest concentration is in the city of Marquette area, based to the density, and also the user group seems to be the kids. So then, you start running into how can you ticket a minor, and then really that responsibility goes to the parent. So that's a bunch of stuff going on. And the Nagani area, between Nagani and Ishpeming, which is another I consider a high-density use area, is primarily senior citizens that are using them, and we haven't had any issues, of people, having problems with it. They'll slow down. Typically, they're pedaling their Type 2s if they're using their Type 2. And whenever they use, we've done a straw poll, typically a throttle is used at a standing stop to get them going, and then they go into pedal mode with it. So they're not usually throttling, or if they're more social, they'd have used the throttle before too. But at this point, we're not enforcing, like, I'm not out on the trail pointing out type 2s and type 1s and checking to see their stickers, but we have had issues of speed, and that makes me concerned, because speed is really where you have issues of, potential conflict of, users on the trail.
Okay, and it did say the last one was that all three styles were allowed on motorized natural surface trails, such as ORV trails.
Yeah, so.
I had to get my arms around this too.
Right, yeah, so if you go west of Ishpeming, through Tilden Township, all the way up to Republic, it all goes at there. I mean, non-motorized electric bikes, any type of electric bike, ORVs. The only restriction to those trails is that the vehicle needs to be 65 inches or less. And that's starting to get bumped out now with the suspension getting a little bit wider. It's not the boxy Rangers that you see anymore. The old Gators, four side-by-sides, they're becoming more sporty. And that's causing, issues of people, because we do have some gate restrictions out there. We have had to open them up another 5 inches. So the gates are 73 inches wide at the opening. For a while, they were working pretty well until the wider vehicles with the bigger suspension started coming in, and then people with new vehicles are coming through and scraping the edges of their fenders and, the edges of their suspension areas, which caused a lot of, issues. So now those gates have been widened to 73 inches. A small Jeep can get through it, but if they're under 65 or 65, as long as they have an ORV sticker, they can use it. Then I hear all the complaints that all the ORV users that are using, the trail have to have a sticker on. Why does the bicycles have to have bike stickers on? So there's another discussion there starting to come forth of, like, do bikes need to have some type of trail contribution across the state? So there's a lot of things coming forth in the next, I'd say, 5 years. There'll be a lot of discussion.
I remember when I was on the authority board, the discussion was to keep the gates narrow enough that a car or a truck couldn't get through, or a car. But now that's going to compromise. It could compromise down the road, pardon the pun. If they are wider, you might end up with trucks and,
Right.
and more vehicles.
Yeah.
That's a big risk. That
It
was
is.
the point, is to keep it safer.
And the main reason isn't, we're trying to limit, full size. It's not against the vehicles, it's the pathway, the trail. It only can accommodate 65 inches. Because if you have two 65-inch vehicles side by side, you only have 2 feet between the two on a passing. When I'm out in the maintenance truck, that really drives home the point, especially when you come across RVers, that I have to go to the widest point of the trail, pull far off from it, and when they come by, they have to scoot by too. So 2 full-size vehicles would never make it past each other. They would have to find a turnaround or a wider point to get past each other on it. So it is an area of, how do you keep regulations in place while
Keeps
the
evolving.
the vehicles being used keep changing.
Excellent information.
Yeah.
Any more
But I'd say
questions?
definitely stay in touch, or stay on top of what the City of Marquette comes out with the task force. They are bringing a large group of input on it, so I think that'll be a good benchmark of where things are at and what might work going forward.
And let us know if you need to come back, or if you have literature we can stick in the packet, or
Yeah.
whatever. That's
Yeah.
always helpful.
Okay, thank you, yeah. Yeah, definitely, I'll send that survey out for the township
Yeah.
and go from there.
That'd be good.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bob? John?
I don't have a question, I just wanted to state, you reminded me about the sign we put up on the trail behind Menards. I'm gonna have our staff take a look at that, and maybe we can just take care of the one down by the tunnel.
Okay, yeah.
I'll get back with you.
Well, and Rob Katona can help you out too with any of the signage that we need.
Okay.
They have the drive posts, or we can.
Yeah, and we wanna make sure we don't put it in a spot where a groomer's gonna take it out the first time they go through either, so.
Right, which is a common thing, which.
And that's kind of a weird little S-curve for them.
Yeah, and it is a new crew that's grooming it. We had a few bumps last year on some of the gates that it just takes groomers a while to learn what they can do and can't do with it. They don't have as much room. Yep.
All right, we'll just stay in contact on that.
All right, thanks, John.
Good. Thanks so much, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me in.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you. All right,
Okay.
have a good night.
You too. Okay. Community linkage is next. I have a few things to share. I've had a few meetings in the last 2 weeks. John's probably gonna wanna talk about the revenue sharing. No? Okay. I printed the stats. It just basically means we're probably gonna get less money. So we'll see where that goes with the budget. Let's see. I've never heard of Laravi, L-E-R-A-V-I. There was an internet article today that I saw talking about roundabouts, that they're being replaced with R-cuts, R-CUT, and that's restricted crossing U-turn, is what that stands for. And as I was reading it, I thought, well, that's a Michigan left. And sure enough, that's what, when you read down all the comments of everybody responding, and they were from all over the country. Somebody said, oh, this is dangerous, you can't have this, the people are gonna die, and there's gonna be crashes, and people below were saying, no, Michigan has been doing this for 75 years, and they're really safe. But I thought it was kind of funny. I just wanted to share that with you. The last materials management survey, or pardon me, the last material management meeting was last week in Escanaba, and we talked about the survey. I mentioned that to you before. There's going to be 3 of them. It's being sent out, 1 to waste haulers, 1 to public, and 1 to municipalities. And so each question is geared to those 3. So that should be coming out probably this month. And if I get the link, or we can use it here at the township for sure, to share that. I did ask a bunch of questions, just for your information. There are 6 of us that come from Marquette and go to Escanaba for this Central UP Materials Management Committee. So I asked if we could meet in Marquette once in a while, or in fact, the county chair asked me that. He said, why are you all driving down there? Are you the majority or fewer? And they picked Escanaba because it's central, and that's where QPAT resides. So QPAT is the administrator of all of this 6-county deal, so that's how they got picked down in Escanaba. But we did decide, we said, for the next meeting, we're just gonna talk about the survey. So I said, well, could we just have a virtual option then? A lot of our problem, you might remember, is getting a quorum. And we've had to cancel 2 meetings now because we couldn't get enough people to get down to Escanaba, and we didn't know about it before the meeting, so we all drove down there and we all drove back with no meeting. So the next meeting's gonna be virtual, which will be nice. It'll just be a work session, so I won't have to make the trip. We also talked about, I asked him, you remember some of the discussion about the, I was gonna say Heritage Trail, now my brain is still on Bob, the Solid Waste Authority. And we've had that discussion about how to increase recycling and how to pay for some of this stuff, and they had talked about the Urban Cooperation Act. You remember some of that. So I did ask QPAD Representative Ryan if we could use some of the money that the state gave the county for buying carts, because the state's going to require anybody who has curbside service to have access to recycling. So the county can use that. So I have a meeting set up with them next week to go over that discussion and see how we can help the authority have a little bit more product, they call it. Carl also asked me after the last meeting, what happens to the window glass? There's been a lot of discussion in the county about glass recycling, there is no recycling, it's repurposing. And it is crushed at the landfill, and it's put into the landfill that way to make it safer. But he was asking about regular pane glass from builders and, you know, remodels and office buildings or anything that's taken down. So I did check with them, and that also gets crushed, and it is put into the landfill. It's not part of any repurposing that can happen, like glass bottles. So I just thought I'd let you know. Didn't know Carl wasn't gonna be here till last week, but he can hear that too, so he'll know. I think that's it on materials management, more than you wanna know anyway. Housing Now, we had that meeting Monday, I was gonna say yesterday, Monday. Nothing too outlandish. We talked about investors, we're gonna hit that topic in a second. They just talked about updates for the different areas in the county that are building homes. And then yesterday, we had the Lake Superior Community Partnership Breakfast, and we talked about recreation. We had 3 presenters, but it was just biking and skiing, which is kind of sad because we have a lot more recreation here than just biking. I just kind of keeps falling to biking and trails. So that was pretty informative. It was nice to hear from about the skiing and stuff on the west end. So that's all I have to share on that. You hearing anything from the public? Andrew, you seem to hear quite a bit. You've got people talking to you all the time. Nothing new?
Nothing new.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Maybe we're doing everything okay. All right, then we can move on to 8A, consider a request for financial support from Marquette County Housing Now. You will remember that this was the organization that started with intergovernmental agreement with multiple communities on how we can improve, increase, amend, subsidize housing in the county. It morphed into a nonprofit organization, and from the few volunteers that we did contribute a couple $1,000s to get Trowbridge information on housing, the statistics. And this group now consists of, what did we find out, 17 different types of, 27 members. So we have builders and we have MEDC, and I might be the only municipal person there. But there's bankers and there's businesses, and Manpower organization is part of it. So it's very encompassing now. It's a very huge group. So we got this request probably a month ago now, asking for help with funding. They do have businesses that have contributed to this. You can see the different levels of support. They've actually titled them for any of the investors. Part of the problem they're having too is financing the what's his title? Housing specialist. Antonio's been here through our Minnevari discussion, so you've met him. And his funding, when we set up that intergovernmental agreement, was mostly from grants, and it was 2 years worth of wages. So that's why this request has gone out to everybody in the county that's involved with housing of any sort, to see if we're willing to contribute. And one of my questions was, for Roger, can we even contribute to this if the board wants to? Because we're, as a charter township, we're restricted on what we can use public funds for. And I didn't even know, I told the chair, Christopher I didn't know if this was something we could even consider. Are you aware, Roger, if,
You and I had spoken very briefly on that, and I guess before I looked into that further, was waiting to see what the board's predilection was on possibly being interested or not being
okay,
interested.
I didn't know which came
Generally,
first, the
well,
horse or
it's a
the
chicken
cart.
and egg scenario. Generally speaking, there has to be a benefit to the township. You have to get something. That a township or any municipality is essentially prohibited from making donations or gifts of public funds. And any funds that the township has or administers are public funds. So that would be, the key is there a benefit being conferred to Marquette Township in exchange for the monetary funds being paid? There is case law that suggests that even if the benefit is at a larger level than within the boundaries, but still benefits the township, that doesn't necessarily make it unlawful. For example, there's a fairly well-known case where the one township contributed towards defense of a significant zoning lawsuit in a neighboring municipality. But the issues were common to both townships. The outcome of that suit was going to be important to the township that was contributing towards assisting with the defense. And the Michigan Court of Appeals upheld that as being a valid expenditure of the township, even though that suit was not involving property within that particular township, because of the definite benefit that was associated with making that contribution, prevailing in on that litigation issue. So, there are also a number of statutes if there are other governmental units involved, well, such as we just talked about the Urban Cooperation Act, but there are a number of statutes that allow municipalities to cooperate with each other in order to achieve a common goal, and this might very well fall within that.
This would be best with a full board too, so if we need to talk about this at another meeting, we can. Christopher would like to come to our budget work sessions, one of them at least, and he's gonna ask if we want to change levels of our membership. And that actually, he asked that before this came up. And I said, well, the board's gonna wanna know what difference it's gonna make, so he's bringing that. We didn't even talk about it. I don't know what the next level is, I don't know what different benefits we get, or I have no idea. I know that the township uses the partnership a lot for different things. Sometimes it's just information, or correspondence, you know, if we want a letter of support or information or something like that. So we're at the basic level, it's 300 or 350 or something a year.
Yeah, we can use it for press releases. I think the first time we did Community Day, we used some of those things, but I agree with you that we need our full board, and I do think this is a budget item. Do we have money in the budget to even
Yeah.
support these things? Yeah.
Especially in light of, you know, some of our funding being cut by the state.
Well, yeah, it's
So-
just, things are more expensive and things are less coming in. We'll just have to make some decisions.
So unless anybody has any comments or anything, we can move this on to something else. We don't need to decide tonight. I mean, if four of us decided we didn't want to talk about that, we could, because we have a quorum, but we'll just hang on to that. So I did also, next up, put our 2024 priority goals on. We didn't get a chance really to talk about them for 25. They're up on the board up there, so that we can kind of see them all the time. things that could be updated. But again, this is kind of for a full board. Maybe that's part of the budget discussion too, because in most cases it involves some kind of funding. So we can hang on to that. We don't have to talk about that unless anybody has any comments or. Okay. Any committee updates?
No planning commission meeting last week.
That's right. Okay. All right, any public comment? Sounds good. Any announcements from anybody? This is short and sweet, my goodness. Manager, do you have anything to share?
I didn't want to not have any type of report for you tonight, so I didn't comment about the revenue sharing earlier. I probably should have talked to Pete Dukes before sending out the email I did, but it sounds like the road funding and this impact of the sales tax on fuel is what's preventing the budget from being completed. And it all blew up yesterday because all the rural counties were saying, you want to take all that money and give it to the metro areas. So you're going to take away a critical revenue stream from all these small communities, give it to Detroit, Grand Rapids, Flint, like you always do. It's just one more whack. I guess you don't need the rest of us other than for our money. And those are my words based on the conversation I had with Pete. So I didn't want to get into the email I sent because it's, by the sounds of it, not over yet and may not even be until tomorrow. At least based on what I was reading today.
Any questions for the manager? Okay. Do you want to review our motions?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Unless you want to,
No,
Addie.
you can. We only have two, right?
We have two motions. The first was to approve the consent agenda that passed 4-0. The second was the approval of the regular agenda as amended, which removed item 6A. That was approved 4-0.
Okay, so I'm thinking we will have our firearms updated policy next time that look like from today.
I'm
Emails
pretty
to-
sure that'll be ready finally, yes.
Okay, that's all I have to.
There's just a bunch of little details. Thanks to our legal counsel, we think we finally have right. Maybe.
Any board member comment?
I'm just wondering when we're going to do the work sessions for the budget.
Oh, yes, we did pick those.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure if you were gonna listen to the last meeting.
They are posted.
Oh, that's good.
Tuesday, October 28th and October 29th at 1 o'clock. General fund, fire, and maybe starting the public works budget on Tuesday and then finish it on Wednesday.
So we'll let the planning commission know those dates, and then they can choose to do what they choose. Perfect. So the 28th and 29th at 1 p.m.
Right, Tuesday and Wednesday.
And I do believe the planning commission's going to see the CIP next week.
You do, huh? Well, that would be great. Get that ice arena roof yet.
Show me the money.
Just follow the money.
Oh, yeah.
And our next meeting is October 15th. So if we don't have anything else, we need to go into a closed session.
She's
So-
looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go into
Dan's not
closed
here, we're lost, right?
session, but we have some audience people. Did you guys need someone to sign something? Are you students?
Yeah, I'm a student.
Okay.
Selfie with one of you guys.
Yeah, well, just because once we go into closed session, you have to leave. So, would you want to wait till we sign to go into closed session? Do you want, till I make the motion?
Yeah, we don't, yeah, we can do it before, before the motion? Do we have to? Wait.
No,
No.
we have to clear the room after the motion
Okay,
is
Okay.
approved.
so I'll make the motion to go into closed session.
Support.
Okay, 6:16. Okay.
Well, we can take like a 5-minute recess.